Today I just thought we'd do a quick video on looking at the head of the Ego trimmer. I want to replace it with a different type head. I'm not confident at all that I can make a different type work. But since I'm going to take it apart and look at it anyway, I thought we'd look at it and the differences it may be. I do have the battery out of the trimmer. And we'll go ahead and we'll get this old head off and at least see what the motor looks like. And just see what the shaft looks like coming off the brushless motor that connects to the head. I've already got this partially off. This is going to be a 9/16 deep well. It is right hand thread. And immediately we can see, unfortunately here, the motor's open. So it definitely won't be as easy as putting something like that on there because the actual motor's open. Once you take this, that actually helps cool. Looks like that's your airflow to help cool the actual motor and keep the dust, debris, and grass out of the actual motor housing. So that might be a no-go, but we'll look at it nonetheless. So we got this piece, some adapters, wrench. Of course it comes with some length of string. So we have different adapters on this kit. I took these 5 screws out. The wrench comes with it. Of course the center one's being machined, a machine screw, because it actually goes into one of these blocks. You can change this block as you need. For your different threads, unfortunately it's not going to work on this one, but that kind of shows how it works. It would be so much nicer just to be able to push the button and just insert the string. And now you don't have to keep but a few pieces with you, and you don't have to keep bumping it and reloading it and winding it. But unfortunately it's not going to work on this, so we get to see how the shaft is. It's actually made into the DC brushless motor. So let's see if we can see a little more about it. Alright, so that plastic shroud in the front bell of the motor is all in, the housing actually is all in one. And there's our Ego motor. It's kind of neat that the rotor and stator situation, but you can feel the strong magnets as you rotate it. I want to check the RPM. I do have a piece of reflective tape I put on there, but I'm gonna put some black around it to make sure it's not a error in the reading due to the silver reflectivity of the actual motor housing itself. Now we got a a black stripe with a reflective piece of tape. Just going to use an old AMTECH RPM meter. Max 5800. So average 50, almost 5750. That's just a quick look at the motor. We'll put it right back together. So even though it didn't work out to put this type of head on there, at least we got to see what it's like, and I thought it might be interesting to anybody else that needs to add a head to theirs of what you would have to do that, because you would actually have to take this piece off and incorporate this into whatever you do. It might be worth it to try it on a later date. For right now, I just got to cut my grass, so I'm actually going to put it back together. Was hoping to use this new head, but it's not going to work out of the package. So I will look into what it's going to take to add a head to it in a later date. For now, we get to see what the shaft looks like, what the motor looks like inside. Just a little quick video inside the Ego head. Head back together. I just got it propped up with some vice grips there. Just thought it'd be interesting while we're looking at this, the Ego 56 volt trimmer. Just take a look inside of the speed control. This is the ST1500SF. I've already taken out 14 screws. They're all similar, all the same screw. Take the covers off. Take this off as well. That one's a little bit different. So we look here, we see our safety interlock and our variable output going back to the speed control. And if you look at that, this is just a rubber spacer, the exact size of that little micro switch. I thought was interesting, but this not only mechanically interlocks the variable input to the speed control, it also does click the power, which is, I was wondering why the power was coming down in here, and that's what it's for. So that's like a power enable, and then there's your reference from your trigger. As we look a little bit closer at the actual speed control unit, or the motor control, get this out of here. It's completely potted. I will have to get the camera to get a closer look. I see right off down that pot and looks like a fuse potted in there. This is a well-built unit. heatsink looks nice. It's vented around where the heatsink is. Fused. They put heat shrink on the connections that's soldered to the battery terminals. Hadn't had no issues with this trimmer at all, and I don't think I mentioned in the video, and I should have. I've been using this trimmer since last year. I bought it in March of last year, I believe. So when you look at like we looked into the head and saw the motor, they did a really good job of keeping dirt and debris out of the motor. It looked brand new. There was actually no signs of overheating of any kind. So same here, there's no signs of any overheating or wires getting hot. Everything looks good. I just thought while I was taking a look inside, we'd see what the speed control looked like. I hadn't been inside of one yet. But there it is. We have our reference coming from our trigger. We also have the enable on the micro switch off that lever, the safety lever, the interlock, and the smaller wires being the signal wires. Reference back to the speed control. Going in here and potted in. But there you go. You see your main battery terminals. You got your positive, your negative, and this will be your sensing wire that's covered here. And one thing just to mention, if you dig a little deeper and pull these up, you do realize these three wires, blue turns to green there. But if you did have to work on this module or the motor, take the wiring out, you could actually disconnect it here. These are heat shrink, so I won't take it off, but those look like they're just, yeah, they sliding off. Push it back. They're just quick connect sleeve terminals. So they actually did have enough thought to make those where they plug. There is a couple places in here that the wire did get pinched. Actually pinched it pretty flat, but if you'll notice the good quality wire they used, it was no problem with that. It actually held it with no problem. A cheap wire give you trouble when you do pinch it like that. It'll be bare very easily, but this is a good quality wire, and the actual insulation held up well that pressure, so no actual problem with that. Just not a good thing to do by any means. I'll try to look at that a little closer, putting it back together. Hope you enjoyed a look inside of this Ego string trimmer. This is a little bit older model now. Like I said, I've had it well over a year. I am looking to get in the one that has the power head, that actually has the trimmer, and you can get the edger attachment, some other attachments as well. The actual hedge trimmer, and I believe even the little small chainsaw like lemon saw, pole saw attachment that I believe you can even get additional sections for. So I will in the near future hopefully be getting that set. Might look at it and look at the differences. I believe the head's different on it. Instead of being the brushless motor like we showed here, I believe we're going to find that it'll be different, and it may even be easier to add the replacement heads, different types, different style heads on. And but we'll see in the near future. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and thanks for watching.